Great, thanks. Thank you. All right, I'd like to call the August 19th, 2026 Franklin Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order at 7:01 it's close PM. In attendance are Chair Donna D, that's me, Vice Chair Jim Johnston, Supervisors Dawn Dowling, and Antia Consorto. Also in attendance are Township Solicitor Melissa Reinstadt. Welcome, Melissa. Township Engineer Ron Reagan. I'm sure he'll be joining us later, right?
He will not. He has a commitment that came up, unfortunately.
That's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and Township Operation Manager Jeff Eastburn and Township Controller and Office Manager Melissa Ortega and Township Secretary Stacy Hollis. There are how many? Eight members of the public here. Okay, can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, we're going to start with public comments. And just a reminder, the board welcomes public comments related to tonight's action items, so things that are on the agenda. Commenters must state your name and whether you're a resident of the township or non-resident taxpayer in the township. If you do not identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Each resident or non-resident taxpayer will have one opportunity to make a public comment on one of the agenda items. Comments should be directed to the board, not to an individual board member or member of the staff. The board will refrain from addressing your comments as they are being expressed, but instead, at their discretion, may comment at the end of public comments section or at the time the action item is discussed. Our silence should not be viewed as agreement with what is being said. So any public comments? All right, so no public comment, we'll move on. All right, so I want to make a motion that the board approve the July 15, 2026 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes. Can I have a second for that?
I'll second it.
All right, so I'm going to go with Antia. Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries 4-0.
Okay. Next is the treasurer's report. Melissa Ortega is here to give that.
The July 2026 Treasurer's Report includes the following disbursements. The general fund with disbursements and transfers of $110,657.74. The Park and Rec Fund with disbursements of $28,796.56. The Open Space Fund with disbursements of $4,800. The Capital Reserve Fund with disbursements of $4,729.77. The Emergency Services Fund with disbursements of $0. The Fire Hydrant Fund with disbursements of $580.80. And the Wastewater Treatment Plant with disbursements of $4,806.81, leaving a balance in all funds totaling $3,787,994.39.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion that the board approve the July 2026 Treasurer's Report as presented by Melissa Ortega. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Donna. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? A motion carries 4-0.
Okay, now we have the zoning report for July 2026. In the month of July 2026, 14 permits were issued, $3,504.14 in permit fees were collected, and 25 inspections were performed.
And now I'm going to turn it over. Is Zach online?
I think
Is Zach going
I think I saw him.
for the Planning Commission report?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Thank you, Zach.
The planning board or the planning commission met a couple weeks ago. Basically, the meeting was limited to discussions of a draft data center ordinance. We took advice from the lawyers, and they're in the middle of drafting a series of recommendations for us to consider and then bring to you. Nothing has been decided yet. Just it's a work in progress.
Do you have a timeline, Zach? I think you're going to get a draft, the second draft at the end of this month. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, we're expecting a second draft before the next planning commission meeting.
And just to add to this too, we have been working with Chester County Planning regarding this ordinance, Rachel Griffith, and she's graciously come to our last two planning commission meetings. So I'm sure things will be ready for our planning commission meeting, so we can discuss that and have that on the agenda.
The only other substantive piece of business that was conducted was a comment on extension of the status of the 449 Chesterville Road plan. And last I heard, we were expecting an extension request.
I'm sorry, Zach, if you don't mind, it wasn't 449, it was Woods Edge.
Oh, Woods Edge. Yep, sorry. I'm looking at notes.
And that's on the agenda, so we will get to that tonight.
Okay.
Anything else, Zach? Any questions from the board?
Nothing from my side. As I said, the meeting was long and productive, but basically it was limited to going over the first draft of the proposed data center ordinance and seeing where we thought it should go.
Thank you, Zach.
Okay.
Trying to follow what's going on. So it's my name, but I'm going to be turning it over to Melissa. All right, so we're going to flow right into you, Melissa, to talk about the data center ordinance, and you'll give us an update from a legal perspective. So I'll turn it to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you, board, for having me tonight. I'm looking forward to working with Franklin Township a little bit closer from here on out. So to give you a little bit of update about where the data center ordinance stands, as was discussed, we did meet at the planning commission meeting with a very preliminary first draft. That first draft was based on the county model ordinance, along with some updates that we've seen from some of the townships and boroughs that are currently going through the process themselves. The planning commission provided some fantastic comments, which are being incorporated as of today. I have been starting to make edits to that agreement or the ordinance. I met with the township engineer earlier this week. We walked through a idea of what he will be editing versus what I will be editing. We are hoping to have a V2, a version 2 of the ordinance to the planning commission at their next meeting. With hopefully a few more substantive comment points that we can talk about. Our last meeting, we went through more general ideas. So we'll be talking about more substantive from here on out. And the next item, does anyone have any questions about the data center ordinance?
Just one comment. I think anyone who knows me, it's that when you're not, I'm not expecting, I hope you're not expecting that whatever you give the board, we're just going to say, yay. We're going to be through it and we're going to have comments and may have to go back, but this is an important one. So we really appreciate your work.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to those comments. If no one else has any questions on the data center ordinance, absolutely, go ahead.
Are there many other people working on these same ordinances with you?
On the Franklin ordinance?
No,
directly or in the townships?
On their other townships doing
Yeah.
these, so there's other ones, so you're getting ideas from all over the place.
Absolutely. We have some
That's great.
townships in Montgomery County, Chester County, and Delaware County.
Awesome.
So we have ideas from quite a few different counties that we are incorporating into this one. And very thankfully, the township engineer has some fantastic resources like noise PhDs that we're able to kind of tap into and use as well.
That's perfect. Perfect timing.
Would the board consider maybe in October, if we could have a joint meeting? Just wanted to see if that might be a possibility.
It might probably move things along a little faster if we, instead of having you come back and repeat everything, you and Zach, it might be helpful to get us both in the same place.
Right. People are working on these ordinances all over the US right now. So you have a lot of references, but a lot of them are still in play. So it'll be good to talk about it a lot before we adopt something.
Melissa, if you don't mind, can you talk about what the governor signed today, yesterday?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So our firm took a look at that today. We are, as a group, as our municipal department, we're deciding as to what portions to incorporate directly into our ordinances that we are drafting throughout the townships we represent in Chester and Delaware counties. There are some items that will be regulated by the state. It's not necessarily something that we need to put in the ordinance itself. However, it may be helpful by reference. There are some DEP regulations that DEP will have jurisdiction over. So we're working on deciding as to how best to incorporate that and if it's worth repeating those in these ordinances or simply just citing to it.
Melissa, were those items intentional to delay or slow down the process, or is there other things, or it's your opinion, I guess, right? Sorry. I don't know if there was other things that were explicitly for delaying the permit applications for these data centers.
Sure. So I'm not sure if I can speak to whether or not it was to delay, but there are some requirements or hoops to jump through now that these applicants will need to deal with. And how they go through that process, we'll need to see in the future because we haven't seen them go through that process yet. So I think at this point, we can't say is whether or not it's a delay tactic or if it is a way to just further regulate this field that is so new. Like I said, we haven't seen a ton come through on these ordinances here, so they're not tested in the real world at this point. So we expect that a lot of amendments will happen over the next 3 to 5 years of these data center ordinances. Okay, if there's nothing further on the data center ordinance, the next item is fairly quick. This is an agricultural security area application. Essentially what happens in these ASA applications is an applicant will apply to the township. This particular parcel is North Creek Nurseries. It is a total of 2 parcels that total about 17.2 acres. The actual application is included in the board's packet tonight. It simply shows a map of the parcels. It is signed by the owner of the property and it indicates the ASA area. That is all that this application requires. Simply tonight, we are just looking to acknowledge receipt of that application. That's the first step. And I believe that we will be looking to potentially advertise this as well. It's a requirement under the ASA law that we post the property and provide proper advertising of notice. All right, so
Plus, if you agree, I can just read the motion and so it very much reflects everything you just said. So I'm going to make a motion that the board accept the ASA application for 388 North Creek Road and authorize township staff to forward the application to the Franklin Township ASS Committee, the Franklin Township Planning Commission, Chester County Planning Commission, and Chester County Agriculture, and to advertise the ASA committee meeting once we have it, and to post and stake the property with a notice of advertisement. Could I have a second for that? Okay, thanks, Don. Okay, any discussion? Good, okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries 4-0. Okay, I have a note. Okay, so just to close the loop, once this above has been completed, which we just did, the township staff has received comments from each of the committee and county agency. Then this application will come before the Board of Supervisors for one last meeting. So now we start the process and it goes off to all the different committees and then we bring it back to the board. Okay, great.
correct. That'll be the process if the supervisors would like to hold a hearing. And that's something we could discuss. Sure, if we want to go into the details of as to what the next steps would look like here. If the township does not want to hold a hearing, it's essentially a deemed approval after 180 days. Some townships do this essentially to save the costs of a hearing. If the township would like to go through a hearing, it would be a public hearing that we would need to have a court stenographer come to. The individuals in the ASA committee would get a first shot at it. They'd take a look at it, and then it would be sent to the county. The Board of Supervisors would then have to have a hearing. The timing on that is quite a long period of time, so you can see why the 180 days kind of comes into play here. So it's ultimately up to the Board of Supervisors and the township as to whether or not they'd like to hold a hearing, but you do have time to think about that.
Yeah, just upon thought, maybe if you could just, I know it's very brief, why this is important? So it's, what does the nursery get for doing this? Yeah.
Fantastic. That's a great question. So Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth as a whole, has some fantastic protections for agricultural uses in throughout the state. So the ASA is a specific law that protects farmers and their ag products from nuisance lawsuits, things like odors, sound, particularly of animals and of machinery. It also protects from condemnation down the line. It is a shield if the state wanted to come in and condemn the land. So it's a great protection for the farmers. It protects the land. And it is something that the township gets to review every 7 years. So let's say a farmer did sell that property to a developer. The township could come in and assess that as to whether or not they would like to keep that property in the ASA district.
How many years? 10?
It's every 7 years.
7.
However, the township has the ability to review it whenever it would like, but the statute requires every 7.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's all you, Jim.
All right, next is the road paving program for bid award. The township advertised the bid in the Daily Local News on August 3rd and on August 6th. The bid was also advertised in the township website. The township engineer, Ron Reagan, and operations manager, Jeff Eastburn, have reviewed and recommended the bid submitted by Long's Asphalt, Inc. I don't think it was a tough decision since it's the only bid received. Jeff, did you want to go over the program?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Just to remind everybody, we have used Long Paving for several years now. One of the unique things about them is that they're a company that has a full width paver. So we hope to be able to implement that, especially on Auburn Road. It eliminates the center seam and then any chance of unraveling with water getting in and so forth. The areas that we had talked about before with the board, just to remind you and the public of what we'll be working on, will be Walnut Glen Road. That's in pretty bad shape with actual dips in it. Hess Mill Road from Chesterville Road to South Guernsey Road. A good part of Liberty Lane. Auburn Road from Church Hill down past the Keene Farm. And I apologize if I said this already. There's going to be sections of Walker Road that we're going to do. That's an ad alternate. From my understanding from Melissa, it still fits within our budget, but this will allow us to hit the bad areas on Walker Road. Regarding Churchill Road is the last one. Everyone remembers about the embankment that washed away. We have been working on that. The bank has been stabilized with large rock. We are hoping next week that a slurry mixture will be applied to help keep that in place. And then part of our road program will be milling a portion of Churchill Road out at that location because it's settled because of the water. So we'll mill it out. Ron and I will have to be out there while that's being done. So we all hope for minimalist actions, but if we need to go wider, we'll have to go wider. And then we'll look at the base and determine if any of that needs to be dug out or just rolled. We did something similar to this on South Guernsey Road and it worked pretty well, but we did have to do digging in the base and roll it in and lifts.
Yeah, I just want to remind folks, I mean, we've been talking about Churchill and the embankment for many meetings, and the initial assessment was hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix it. So don't apologize for anything. I think what you've put together is a very pragmatic approach. If you need to take more, you need to do more road then you do it. But we're still in better shape than we were when you initially looked at it. So,
Oh,
and of course, it's a safety issue. We're not going to mess around with Churchill.
right. So the idea, the goal, the hope is those barricades will be taken down by the first week in November. And it'll be totally open.
Is that when do you think you get the whole road program done? Is it going to be October, November, or
I'm hoping for mid-October, but it could start anywhere from mid-October to late October.
you have a problem with the cold, right? You can only do so much, right? When it gets too cold, you got to stop.
Yes, and we will monitor that. We're very cognizant of PennDOT.
Okay,
So I've talked with Steve Long, the owner of the company.
right.
So he knows how anxious I am to get this done.
Okay,
So he said he will try everything that he can.
okay. Yeah, and we have such a good relationship with them for the years. Okay, that's good. Any other questions for Jeff?
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
are the guardrails secured now, or are they not secured until we take those Jersey walls off?
Right now, the barricade is protecting the guide rail, but the guide rail is put in place. So when we do the slurry mixture, it will lock all of that in.
Great, that's all I want to know. Okay.
And I probably, just to let you know too, with the machinery, the workers, and the actual asphalt, we're estimating that to be 249,260.47. Now, the asphalt index is going up over these past couple months because of the war with Iran and oil. So we have been keeping an eye on that as well.
We're still in our budget, right, Banker? Yes.
And that continues to float until it's done, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Any more questions? All right, then I'll make a motion to award the 2026 Franklin Township Road Paving Project bid to Long's Asphalt Inc. based on the recommendation letter submitted on August 18th, 2026 from the Township Engineer Ron Reagan, and also on the requirement that this company submit their insurance certificate and performance bond. Can I have a second? That was Antia. Thanks, Antia. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
So now we're going to talk about the Chester County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Howard, do you want to say something first? Or maybe I'll read the motion first, and then maybe if you want to say something, I'll go from there. So I'm going to make a motion that we accept the Chester County Hazard Mitigation Plan as presented by the Township Emergency Management Coordinator, Howard Walls, and approve the resolution 2026-12, a resolution adopting the Chester County Hazard Mitigation Plan for Franklin Township. So can I have a second for that?
second.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Okay, so before we open discussion, I'm going to let Harold, if you just want to make some comments as to what this, yeah, that would be good. What this document is, and then the board can discuss it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Basically, let me give you a little background on the Chester County Hazard Mitigation Plan. The idea of this came about 2013, and I sat on the original committee that came up with the original plan, which was adopted by Pima and the county in 2015. It's required that every so many years the plan gets reviewed and readopted. That's where it is at this point in time. It's not a plan specifically for Franklin Township. It includes all the municipalities in Chester County. What it does, it looks at all the possible hazards and says to each municipality, what is your threat, or what do you think your most important threat is? And do you have a way to mitigate that threat? If you do, that's fine. You have a possible avenue of getting funds if you have a plan to mitigate a certain project. In the meantime, this plan is just an overview. So if we do, as a county, have to go to PEMA or FEMA for money on hazards or natural disasters, it gives them the ability to take this document to FEMA and say, look, we've done our homework. All these things have been identified and they're in this document. And it makes it a lot easier for us to come back and try to get money out of them to mitigate these projects. That's it in a nutshell, basically. And to answer Donna's earlier question, which isn't on the record, the next time this thing probably comes up for renewal or whatever will be another 4 to 5 years. And providing I'm still around, I'll get a notification of if they want me to sit on the committee at the time. And I'll be glad to let anybody else know because it's open to the public that live within those jurisdictions. So.
Harold, when you say it makes it easier for you to get money from FEMA, is that during an event or is it sometime after, like a reimbursement?
It's post-event. And what it is, when you apply for these funds, when you go through all these paperwork issues, it just makes it one step easier because they say, okay, this municipality has already been aware of this and they've already done something about this. So therefore, they have a step up. We recognize that.
Thanks, Harold. So just to add some, I don't know, instead of so theoretical, just to give you some ideas. And I do want to call out Jeff and Melissa because when I first saw the document, it was 700 pages long and I was like, I have no idea what to do with this thing. And as you said, Harold, it's everything's in there. The history of Chester County, what is a hurricane, what is an earthquake? It's pages and pages and pages. But both Jeff and Melissa put a summary together that we were able to share with the board. And the two things that I was interested in was what were Franklin Township's risks? What did this document the writers consider Franklin Township risks? And I think when you hear the list, you're going to say, yeah. So flooding, right? We all know flooding because of sometimes our heavy rains, winter storms, wind events, because you have so many trees, you get the trees fall down, and then you have utility outages, and then fires linked to the trees. So that made sense to us. That seems to be what we have in terms of risk, and that's what's in the document. And then there was a table 6.4.1 that has like 400 recommendations. So when you start getting those kind of numbers, but for Franklin Township, there was 3. And the one that I thought was interesting was the one for Walker Road. And Walker Road is a bridge that we're aware of. We have to do some improvements that Jeff told us about. They're not going to solve the flooding problem, but it is on our radar. And I think, as you said, it all links together. So when we actually have to rebuild the bridge, we can use this document to hopefully get some grants. Yeah. So just to give you some meat to what this is talking about Walker Road. Usually most of this stuff is about flooding. What can we do to improve drainage? What can we do to reduce flooding? And all our MS4 work is also focused back on that too. It's all about managing our stormwater flow. So any questions for the board, Harold, or any conversation you want to have? You think the document was wonderful?
No. I'm glad that Melissa did the synopsis.
And Harold, I mean, you're involved in so much stuff. I mean, with Medic 90, thank you. I mean, you don't have to do this, and you do. You really, you're our guy, right? If God forbid there's ever a disaster, you're the man we go to, and you have us all set up. Yeah. Yeah, so I know I gave you a hard time with the doc, but thank you so much because I wouldn't want to do it. And I appreciate the fact that you're involved. Oh, yeah, we're having fun with the fire companies. We don't need anything else. All right. So we're good, but we do thank you. Thank you very much. And Melissa and Jeff, thank you. All right, let me so we made the motion, right? So any more discussion? Okay, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, so motion passes 4-0. All right, thank you, Harold.
Okay, we have another extension letter from Woods Edge. It's a development extension letter through December 31st, 2026. So I make a motion to accept the Beaver Hill Realty Woods Edge Development Extension Letter dated August 7th, 2026. This extends the land development application time period for the Woods Edge Development Project until December 31st, 2026. Could I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Donna. Any discussion?
And I'm sorry, when was the original term? What's the expiration? Does anybody have?
The end of September.
Okay, so it's just a few months. Okay, I just didn't see that. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I had a discussion with the land planner, so that's what they were willing to give us to the end of December.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
So, Nancy's not here today. She's got a happy personal thing going on, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that everything goes well. So, I'll make the motion, then we can have discussion. So this is related to America's 250th anniversary celebration. And we have a resolution, linked to that. And so I'm going to make a motion that the board adopt resolution 2026-13, a resolution of Franklin Township, Chester County to support the Pennsylvania Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial America 250 PA celebration by hosting the America 250 anniversary celebration on September 12th, 2026 at Crossan Park. Can I have a second? Okay, nobody wants a second me?
We have questions.
Okay, so can I get a second, then we can have a discussion? Doesn't mean you agree with it, just, can you a second so we can have the discussions? Okay, thanks, Jim. All right, go ahead, Dawn.
Well, I'm confused. We signed this before. What's the difference between what we signed before and what this is now? We remember like a year, when this whole 250 started, we signed the thing and we were all upset because we thought we'd have to give money. We thought we'd have to promise something. We were like really hesitant to sign it. And we went through this big deal about signing it and we signed it. So isn't it signed already?
So I think just my opinion.
Okay.
So this was done in May 2024. So it was a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Okay, I'm looking 15th date of May 2024. So maybe I got the wrong one.
Look at the top. Which date is it? 20, right here.
So I was looking down here, 15th, where are you at? So it's still 2024. Okay, so whatever. So what, July or May, June? Okay, so it's July 2024. The new one talks about our celebration, September celebration. So it does acknowledge the celebration. And my understanding is it also acknowledges the money, the support that we've gotten from this group. I
just don't want us to look silly if we already had said we were going to participate and we are participating and we have said thank you. I just don't want to look silly by redoing something that doesn't need to be redone. I don't know.
I think my understanding is other townships have done it more recently, but I don't have a strong, one could argue that you don't want to waste the time doing this again. Jeff's done the work putting it together. I don't think it hurts us, but you are all welcome to vote as you see fit. Does anything else?
Assuming we adopt this resolution, this new resolution, what happens then? Does it have to get filed again with the county or with the state or where?
Goes to the governor's, my understanding. I don't think there's a lot money associated with it. There's no legal fees. It's just a nice to have.
We don't need to record it, Jim. So we sign it and we put it in the resolution book and we send it to the governor's office.
And that's the end of it? Okay. I just want to, in the future, why would we duplicate something we already did if it doesn't matter? But what Donna was saying is if it's recognizing some of the people who have contributed to this thing, I'm okay with it. And it doesn't really cost us anything except writing the thing.
And this is an expanded version of what we did in 2024. So I don't want you to think it's word for word a duplicate.
Right. And in 2024, we anticipated we might do something, but now we are doing something. So I'm okay.
So Paul, you're part of putting the event together. Do you have any strong feelings? Do you want to make comment on this? If you do, you have to get up.
So yeah, I was at the meeting when Heather Reefer came and asked for general support for the celebration of 250. I think this does differ in that this acknowledges a rather generous donation from the Chester County Community Foundation, which is distributing the local 250 monies, and it was a rather generous donation. And it also is essentially recording our celebration with the state. And as part of the general celebration, I think that this is something that the Chester County 250 group is encouraging townships to do simply as part of their celebrations. And since our celebration is now coming up, this is coming up. So yeah, there is a certain amount of duplication, I agree. But in essence, this is responding to a different situation. This is a resolution in part proclaiming our celebration, which we were not doing back in 2024 because we didn't have any celebration in the books. I can't speak for Nancy, but I think that these are some of the things that are involved in bringing this proposed resolution forward.
Paul, can you mind, how much they gave us more money than we asked for? Didn't they give us a couple
Yeah,
thousand?
so Nancy asked for 2,500 and they gave us 3,500. It's usually you do not get more money than you ask for, you get less or what you asked for. So it was a very important boost to getting started in our fundraising, and it was out in front ahead of everything else. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't running around a tree, you know what I mean?
No, I don't think, I don't think that there's a particular danger of looking stupid or anything like that, or foolish and doing the same thing twice. This is a different situation. You know,
I just think it would have been helpful to know that before we just got a resolution dropped off. So in the future, if some, like, we need context before, so that would have been helpful.
yeah, so I understand that. I think that Nancy and I are trying to do a lot of things all at once. And so I apologize for that. But, sometimes trying to get the resolution done, and proposed, it can be easy to forget that you need a sort of preamble to its presentation.
You guys are immersed in this whole thing. You've been doing this day in, day out, right? This is like, and we sometimes lose sight of what it's about. Yeah. All right. All right. So, that was our discussion. Any other discussion? Any questions? Any comments? All right. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Great. Thank you. Motion carries 4-0. Okay. I'll just I'll read the note and then I'll start with the fire company. So we just want to note that the historical commission and the HARB did not meet in the month. Guess you had other things going on, huh, Paul? Okay. Okay. So no report. We'll hear from you in a few minutes about the celebration. So let me just start with the fire company update. This is something both Auntie and I have been pretty involved in. And the last time we met, it was right before two important meetings that we were going to have regarding this issue. And so the first meeting we had was on August 5th. And we had it with the fire companies and we talked about about their budget. And I just want to remind everyone that they were kind enough to give us a preliminary budget. This was much earlier than they were normally prepared to share any kind of numbers with anyone. So this was challenging for them. And they made it very clear that these numbers are preliminary. They are still working their way through it. If you guys remember, they are consolidating into one fire company, so that adds even to more complexity. So we got the numbers. We actually went through this budget with the whole township. We had a meeting to talk about it. And so at this meeting, we talked about our comments and we had some questions answered. And the one comment that I want to bring back to you guys is that there was a $338,000 increase in career, in the budget for the career staff. And I just want to clarify to everyone, based on the answers they gave us, this is not for new people. That what they are planning to do with this money is adjust salaries so that the folks doing the similar jobs across fire companies, now that they're one fire company, will make a similar amount of money. So I just want to be clear, that's what it's for. Now, we all have our opinions what that means. I don't look at that as happy news because that means sometime in the future, they are going to need to increase staff, and we have yet to incur what that cost is yet. So you can take it however you want, but the fact of the matter is that this money, this increase that they're proposing is to adjust salaries. So just want to let you know that. And then, I don't know if folks know this, but every township, we provide money to the fire companies for fire service and EMS service, and there's various formulas for that. And so whether we are being, bill's not the right word because our things are called contributions, but whether we're giving money to Avondale or we're giving money to West Grove, the formulas are different. And so now that they're coming together as one company, we have to consolidate the formulas. We have to agree to a single formula. We have not done that yet. So we can't come back to Melissa to say, this is how much that we're going to be requested to provide to the fire companies for EMS and fire services until we get this formula worked out. We got a sense of what they're looking for. And I would say it's around 10% in that area. It's not 20, it's not 5, it's somewhere in that area, but we're not going to know for sure until we get this formula worked out. And that's going to be done at another meeting that we're going to talk about. So I just want to be clear. Do you want to make any comments about the budget meeting?
So they did explain that they're going to have their first organizational meeting as a combined fire company on August 31st, where they will be electing their admin officers and their fire chief and adopting bylaws. Then they'll have a second organizational meeting on September 30th to elect their board of directors, and a third on October 28th to elect their trustees who are responsible for all the facilities. They did say staffing is going to stay the same in 2027. Like Donna said, they're not adding new staff. And they did bring in a woman who is a certified CPA to help with combining the books and getting, monthly reports going and figuring all the items out, because both companies, the way they did their books was slightly different. So line items weren't identical. So to merge them, you have to figure out, okay, what was this and what was that, and work them together. So she's working on that huge task. They did clarify. So there were comments made about the cash that they're carrying in their accounts. They had, I forget, 3 million, something like that in cash. That money is actually already spent. It is sitting there because when they order a new apparatus, it is cash on delivery. So they order the apparatus and it takes, 4 to 5 years before it's delivered. And they have to have that cash on hand when that piece of equipment is delivered. So that money that's sitting there is not just excess funds. It's actually already been spent on an apparatus that's been ordered. And they're just waiting for the delivery. And once they receive that delivery, that money disappears. So I think that was an important distinction, because I think a lot of people looked at their budget and thought that cash was sitting there. And why are they raising our rates if they have $3 million in cash sitting in their account? So I just wanted to make that clear.
I wonder if they could move that into like a deferred asset account instead of cash, calling it cash, right? I mean,
Again,
if it's spoken for, it should be not in cash, shouldn't be the liquid.
So I think
Shouldn't be in a
that,
liquid cash account.
I think now
Or
that they have a
specific.
certified CPA that's going to be helping with the books, I think that kind of stuff is going to get looked at. I feel sure they'll be trying to figure out better ways to manage
She was kind, but she made some comments about, quite a few things she needs to modify. And I'll move to the second meeting. So that was the meeting on the 5th, was with the fire companies.
Can I
Sure,
ask
go
one
ahead.
question on something that's already been said? Which fire company had to move their staff up?
They did not clarify.
They just said they're gonna.
So one or the other had to, right? One was higher than the other. It would, I guess, what my next question would be is, how many people are gonna share 338,000 as an increase? Is there, if
I
there's
hear-
2 people, that's different than 20 people, right? So.
So I asked for some numbers and I have yet to get them yet. Like how many full-time staff do you have? How many part-time staff do you have? And I have not, now, it's not like they're sitting around doing nothing. I mean, as you just said, they're pretty busy.
Yeah.
But these are questions we need to know as we look at this budget. But I don't know. Is it 338,000? You're right. Is it a lot of money or isn't, it depends on how many people we're talking about, right? Are we talking about 100? Are we talking about, I don't know, 10? Yeah, so I don't know. But the fact it's not a new person tells me what are we doing? Right, and they still say that they're not being paid enough. So even based, and I don't think any of us are going to know until we get in there and then do an analysis of what they're paying, what's going out around the rest of the county. You know, we don't know.
They did make it very clear that they don't get paid nearly as much as other fire companies in the region, and that they are very, very short-staffed. They made that very clear.
So then we had the second meeting, and if folks have been coming to these meetings, you know that a group of municipalities, the 10 municipalities that are serviced by these fire companies, have been meeting about 4 or 5 times, at least 4 maybe already. So we've been meeting periodically. And it just so happened that August 6th was our next meeting. And we talked about this interim agreement. If I remind folks, we need to figure out a governance model for this new consolidated fire company. And this is, if you remember previous meetings, we talked about a commission model, we talked about an authority model, we talked about status quo. And there was an agreement across the municipalities that we need to do something for like maybe the next 2 years until we figure out what our next steps are, because this is very complicated, it's very complex, and there's a lot of moving parts that we have to figure out. So the group of municipalities agreed to explore this interim agreement. We brought the interim agreement to a board meeting and we provided comments, and Tia and I took it back to the meeting. And I would say most of the comments were incorporated or even improved upon. So we're moving in the right direction. The other thing is that the next step, it all goes down to this funding model. So even though we went through it and we made good agreements and moved things along, we still need to agree what this funding model is. So that really is the next step for when we come back. We come back in September 8th, and we'll talk about this funding formula. So one formula that we use for EMS, for fire, and we use it across the companies. Anything else you want to?
We did mention adding, making sure that we have fire service plans, growth reports, and all of that kind of stuff coming from the fire companies and reported to the committee every year. Like we
That's in the interim agreement. So you
in the
wanna-
interim agreement.
But so, and Tia brings up a good point. This is something I didn't realize until the meeting. I thought that we could approve their budget. We have no legal authority to approve their budget. Even we contribute money. And the one thing we can do as municipalities, we can agree not to give money. But we can't look at their budget and say, you can't have that fire truck, or you can't do that. They control, right now, they control their budget. They will come to us and present their budget, and then we as a group can decide how we want to fund it. But we can't do like what we can do as a board for Melissa's budget, we cannot do that for the fire company. We just don't have the legal authority to do that. And I thought that was a pretty important point. Our control is limited to what we can do. Yes, okay. Any questions from the board or comments?
I don't want to get stuck on this truck thing,
Okay.
but I know we didn't see a balance sheet. We saw expenses and income, like two lines. When we do get to the point where we see a balance sheet, they should have a liability. If they've committed to buying a truck, there should be a liability on the side of the balance sheet.
As for the balance sheet, I'm still waiting for that also. It's, it's difficult to get this stuff, but I think once we get it, I think we're going to be in much better shape to answer these questions. And like you said, the CPA will be there, so I think we'll all be on the same page, but it's difficult right now to get this information. Anybody else? Oh, at John's suggestion, we put a website together and it's, everything we're talking about is on the website. So if you go to the Franklin Township webpage, you'll see everything that we know regarding these conversations and what we discussed and what's next and when the meetings are. So please, love you to come to these meetings. If public comments, please, we'll love to hear your comments and we'll move forward. I mean, you guys are affected by this. This is your life, right? I mean, this is your homes, your houses, you know, your health is important. So we know that this service is extremely important, but we also know that there's only so much money. So we want to be smart about it. Okay? Sign up.
Now for the fun stuff. Okay, anybody that's not busy on Friday night, we're gonna be over at the park at 8 o'clock. And I'm not an astronomer, but I'll tell you what, I've had the hotline to the whole astronomy organization this week because we've been watching the weather like there's no tomorrow. So we think we're gonna make it tomorrow night, okay? And I already have Jeff's on the hook and Stacy's on the hook, and I got a couple other people on the hook to come help me a little bit early to try to set up for everything, but they come with everything. So we're gonna be very excited to see what we see. And then my poor Roger Kennedy from Solar Day, the next day, we had to move him from a day that he missed the first time because of weather. Now it's supposed to rain right in the middle of the day on top of his solar thing. However, if he does, he's got a program going on at the library. So we will not miss him, but we'll just we'll reassign him and he'll have a later program that we can tap into from the library. And then we'll get him rescheduled sometime. So we're not going to let those guys go. We're very excited about these programs. So then for our help for the 250th anniversary, we are doing the plant swap for sure. We're going to do a plant swap, and the Garden Angels have come through with a gold sponsorship from North Creek Nursery and Gateway Garden Center to work on our garden. So we are going to show off the work they've done in our garden. We're going to have some of our master gardeners there to tell about the plants, as well as help us tell what plants we're swapping and learning what we're going to learn. And they said we're supposed to have a little surprise at the garden for us. So, and then we have a wonderful thing that Jim has been working on. And we have two beautiful stones now over in the garden, memorial stones. And one is for veterans and one is for garden people that want to leave their names on the brass plate for their loved ones. Instead of doing a tree, we'll have a memorial garden stone as well. So we're really, really looking forward to having a nice time in the Healing Garden for the 250th. And then we have one more little music thing on September 25th, Friday. Instead of a story time, we're having a music time to end our summer thing for the music things for the kids. And they loved that last year. It was wonderful. So in the essence of time, that's what we have going on so far for these 2 months.
It's amazing what you put, the stuff you do is just amazing. Any comments for Dawn or questions? We're lucky to have you, Dawn. So, Paul, you're going to become an honorary member of the board.
Hello again. So bear with me a little bit because I'm going to try and cover what both Nancy and I have been doing, and I will probably miss a few things Nancy has been doing but I think I can give you a pretty good overview of where we're at. So we have plenty of sponsorships, and we actually have a sponsors banner done, which is, I think, rolled off somewhere. The township staff printed it out, and not quite full size, but it looks nice. We have our food vendors wrapped up, including a late edition from with a coffee truck. Creekside, thank you. I've been shifting forms around, but my mind goes a little blank, and then we had to do some car negotiation today. So, and so there are a few, all the necessary things are in process, but a couple things are not finalized yet, but I expect they will be finalized in time. And then we also have a vendor situation, which is kind of not where I'd hoped it would be, but we should have somewhere between 25 and 30 vendors, and it will work out rather nicely with the layout we're planning. We've begun to lay out where things will be. We have made contact with Brandywine Septic, who is going to be providing the porta johns and hand washing stations, and we'll probably get 2 more additional hand washing stations. And then we've been discussing with Jim Durazio at Yardworks and with Bob Magnus at the FSA concerning what they'll be doing in support of the project. Jim seems to have plans. I mean, Bob seems to have plans for you, Jim. So, and I think it's all, quite manageable. This time around compared to previous times, there's going to be a lot more banner hanging probably than we've done before, just because of the nature of that. We intend to decorate behind the stage, but zip ties are our friends, and I'm hoping that it will go very quickly. Nancy has also been working on a marketing campaign aimed at getting children out because of the various children's events we have. And I know that some of that is in process. I can't give you exact details on where everything is on that. And we also have in the process of finalizing tents and tables and that sort of thing. We plan to have relief station, water stations in 2 different locations in addition to Food Lion, which will also have water, so that they should be relatively evenly placed throughout the event. So I think we're pretty much covered with respect to that. We're working on some new flyers. Donna, you had an objection to one flyer, and that's fine. We'll just start over. I don't see the point, even if I got one board member who doesn't like a flyer, I don't see the point of fighting over it. It's not worth it. The only problem for me is, getting the information, getting an idea, and trying to figure out how to cast it. But we are going to try and get some flyers out there that emphasize the food vendors who will be attending, the regular vendors who will be attending, and a few other things. Including something that's a topic here tonight, later, after I'm done rambling on, which is the Colonial Pennsylvania Homestead folks. I would like to make them a subject of the flyer. I think they're absolutely fascinating. And they work both for younger and older children and even adults. So I think that was a very nice find on Nancy's part, and I hope the board will agree. And then let me just see these notes here. Plans.
If you don't mind,
Yeah.
sir, I received a call from Nancy before I left today.
Okay.
I'd like to put up those pictures since she requested that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, that's for Colonial Homestead. These are my preliminary remarks.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have any other preliminary remarks left.
Gotcha.
Looking over my notes, because I kind of scrawled these earlier in the evening, and I think that covers the high points. Before we move on to other things, are there any questions the board has in general about the stuff that I've been discussing the planning for?
Volunteers, I mean, we're less than a month out, so.
Okay, so I've been working with the SFA and I can speak to that. And I know Nancy has been out looking for volunteers, but I can't tell you what her numbers are and who's been assigned to what. I just can't. I don't have that information at hand.
Is there possibly, and I know she's busy tonight, but maybe get back to us with some kind of correspondence, just to say, this is what we got, this is what.
Sure, I will ask her. You will do me a favor and allow me 2 days before I ask her, given the situation.
Take whatever time.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
no, I get the,
Yeah,
Right.
it's like, it's coming, it's. fully
yeah,
coming.
no, I think actually things are largely falling in place with the biggest deficit for the moment. I wish we had a few more regular vendors, but I discovered today we are also competing with the Wilmington Arts Festival as well. So we have a couple giants out there who act as sort of vendor black holes. We just had, the bad luck to settle on the date that right, that's the other one that's a big problem. There's some smaller ones around, but it's the big ones that really make my day.
But as you say that, I mean, that actually gets into the other thing of the fire companies. I know
Right.
having the fire muster or whatever, like you may not have it.
We may not have it. I think I have my fingers crossed that we'll at least have fire companies there because yes, they're out providing services elsewhere, such as the Kennett Mushroom Festival. So these are events that are a little beyond our control, but to the best of our ability, we will, roll with the punches and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, just think, and I know you'll do this, just have a plan B, as you think of, you have so many other stuff going on.
Right.
And we'll talk about the homestead thing in a second, which I'm totally with you on. But it just, you may have a lot less than you think from a fire perspective, but we'll have plenty of other stuff. So just.
We'll have plenty of other stuff and Medic 94 is going to be there. So that's good. And well, I think we'll be able to put something on. We'll just have to see what we can manage.
The advertisement, for me, it was more the picture. It was everything you said about the event was fine. It was just a picture, just so people know. It was a picture of wine and beer and it was like.
Well, actually it's cider, but.
Yeah, but it looked like come to a beer party or something. And I know that's not what you meant, but.
What somebody meant, and in my defense, I would like to point out, although it was not in the first paragraph, it did say in the second paragraph to pair them with our foods. Because first off, I'm aware that alcohol is not normally allowed in the park. But it was more an attempt to just do some marketing that shine some light on the people who are going to be there. And in the case of 1723, have also been a sponsor and appealed to some people who might normally go to 1723 Old Stone and might not mind coming to us for one day instead of going there. It was not intended to make it seem like this was some sort of college beach party.
Could you use their logos then instead?
So I'll shelve it for now and I'll look in. We have a 1723 logo. That was the initial idea. I had gotten in touch with Evan Gruber to get a Old Stone Cider logo. I looked, actually, I'm very efficient at stealing things off websites, but they didn't have the Old Stone Cider logo. And the closest thing I have to it is one of their coasters, which would not really be the look I was going for. So Evan Gruber, I got a sort of auto reply from Evan Gruber saying he was on vacation and he would answer his email when he got back. So I decided then to see, what I had with a logo. And of course, all they actually have on the cidery site, that is the only glass. They haven't cropped at the top of the bottom, which I did not want to use one that had been lopped off. And I spent a little time wading through 1723 site for something comparable. So, yeah, no, so I'm happy to revisit it.
I've never been to Old Stone. Is there a sign out front? Is there a sign on the building?
Yeah, there probably is. I was whipping this up in a frenzy in my house.
It's
And they're not far away from my house.
It's not a criticism.
No,
What I was gonna say is, if we could all agree that I could either, me or you, go
right.
down, take a picture of the sign or the building, we could use that.
I'd rather get a sign. Oh, the only reason is I think the building, then the way my mind works, I'm going to want each building. And I think then they begin to look kind of small in the space I've got to work with. So I'd rather go with the logos. The other thing is I'm sitting here, this is going to sound sort of strange, but I can get in touch with Evan's mom and see if she can send me, because I've worked with Mary, so this is not really a problem. But at the time, I was just kind of focused on trying to wrap this up and come up with something. So I'll email Mary and I'll go take the.
Frat parties, just to.
Well, I did try and make it sound like traditional cider, fine wine, not the beer barrel polka. But yeah, I'll revisit it. That's fine. I don't, I was actually aware that the topic could be one that was complicated. But that was where I had my momentary ideas. Okay?
Now we want to talk about homestead, right? So you stay with us, Paul, right? We're going to.
Yeah. No.
So just to remind the board, Nancy and Paul both have come to the board and they talked about Ben Franklin and we talked about the stage and we talked about cleanup and we talked about a bunch of stuff. But the thing that we didn't talk about is this colonial Pennsylvania homestead. And so I know we're getting close, but this is the opportunity to present it to the board and say, can you support that we engage them for the day? If they seem to, we're going to go through it, but they seem to have some fun stuff that the kids will like and the adults would like. So I'll turn it over to Paul, but tell the story and hopefully we'll get the board to agree.
So basically this group is, you can think of as both education and entertainment. They have a lot of colonial related stuff. The things that are probably going to be most appealing are things like spinning or learning how to write with a quill pen. But they also have colonial toys that are there for kids to try and play with. And the idea is to give both, not just children, but also their parents, some idea of what it was like to be doing certain activities, not everything, in a colonial environment. And given that this is a event which is focusing on the Declaration, and we actually have, compared to, we're not overwhelmed with historical related stuff, but we have more historical stuff than we normally do. I think this is really a rather good match for the things that we're trying to celebrate. And I think it's good to have more activities that kids especially can participate in. So Nancy was involved in finding them, and I really do think it's a good idea. They're not coming here for free. But, none of our two bands are coming there for free this time around, and we can't afford to pay them. Yeah.
Paul, just a couple quick questions. How many people are going to come with them? Do you know?
I honestly couldn't tell you that off the top of my head. I know that they'd sort of occupy a couple tables, is my understanding. And so I'm thinking it's, like 3 to 4 people at a minimum, probably not more than 4.
And they'll be there the whole time.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we actually discussed that the fact that it would be, you could get them by the hour. But my personal feeling is that you don't advertise something and then turn it off at like 2:00.
Right.
So, so we're having them there the whole day. They will be available the whole time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. That's all.
So we'll just, so I think we did this before for Ben Franklin. Can we just like give a nod, or if someone's against, can we thumbs up, or is that okay? Are we good?
Yeah, the budget, I think it's good.
Yeah, so we have one other thing that we just like the nod for, and that's for Betsy Ross. So this is, I think it's good that we're actually going to have her there. The whole situation is a little interesting because she's married to Ben Franklin in our alternate reality of reenactors. And she's, because Ben is going to be with us, we actually are getting Betsy at a reduced rate of the $300, which says a lot about women's labor that perhaps we don't need to discuss at this time. But beyond that, the other thing that we came to realize is that we were looking at a Ben Franklin lookalike contest. And while we did not say who could come forward dressed as Ben Franklin, we realized that we kind of really had what's likely to be a predominantly guy thing. And so we went to having a Ben and Betsy lookalike contest so that there would be something, especially if kids wanted to get involved. And, Nancy's been talking it up. We may see more Betsy's than Ben from what I've been hearing from Nancy. But and we have some real prizes, and I think it's good to round it out by having a Betsy Ross reenactor there as well. And again, we have the money. We really haven't been spending money like water. And I think that it'll be one more, part of the reason they're coming is so that people can get a photo opportunity to take a picture with them. So this will round it
I
out.
know we talk about money, and I talk about money all the time, but this is money that the community has given. So this is not coming out of the Franklin Township budget. This is money that Peak, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of people, right? Yeah, I mean, so it's real, and it's money given for this event. So it's not like we can save it and put it towards a road. We wouldn't do that. This is really for the community to enjoy themselves and have a good time.
Right,
So
and
this-
I think the idea is that if we do have some that's left over, we will put it towards some park use of some sort. Yeah, right. Something that will benefit the community at large. So that is the other thing I would like to have your nod.
Can we get the thumbs up or not?
We are actually, if you get her half price, you might have to raise what we're paying her. So be careful what you wish for. No, she's on sale. That's also not what I really want to say. Reminds me too much of a Cole Porter song. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I would like to thank you all very much. And, I'll give Nancy a little time for focus on what she needs to focus, and then ask her if she could put together some volunteer information at her end for the board.
And
Okay.
here, I have a quick question. We don't have a workshop meeting in September, do we? So this is the last meeting before the program.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I have a few, if you want a few plants, I had to pull up some sedum earlier in the year. I can't guarantee they're actually autumn joy, but they're an autumn joy. So yeah, I know. She came over one day when I was ripping plants out of the ground because they were spreading, and she's pulling them up out of the piles of my plant debris. But
Paul, I know this is a silly question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
okay.
Do you anticipate any other expenditures the size of the Colonial Pennsylvania homestead and Betsy Ross?
That's actually a good question. It's not a silly question. So one of the things that we kicked around a little bit, that's right, since the last time, if we have a total fire company collapse, we might scramble and look for bouncing castle or something like that. We would come, we would have to come to the staff and Donna and Jim perhaps for approval for that.
We do it now? Can we?
Hold up.
Go ahead.
Could I ask a question?
Well, I don't have estimates. That's part of,
No, that's not what I'm gonna ask.
yeah.
Insurance, bouncy house?
I can answer
Liabilities.
that.
Thank you.
We've gone through this
Yeah.
twice before. So they will have to provide insurance.
Okay.
They will want an agreement signed.
Similar
That-
to, say, hold harmless kind of thing, like the kind of coverage we had from the wineries and stuff.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I promise you, they're gonna want us to sign an agreement, which will have part of a waiver language in it. This young lady will need to look at it
Right.
because in the past, that said agreement has been revised. So just take that into consideration
Okay.
because we're gonna have to involve Melissa for that.
All right. I'll keep that in mind.
Jeff, do you remember what the cost was in any of those things around? No, not even around number.
I don't. I really don't.
I mean, yeah. So, this is the sort of thing where what we can do will be determined by the funds available.
So, Melissa, if we need to make that kind of decision? I mean, like I said, the money's there, the money's was put there by, various people outside the community for this event. How can we make that agreement, that okay? Can we do it by email? Or I know we can't talk via email. Can we send a yes or no to Jeff, or can he, tell me how we should do this.
Yeah, if it was money that was already planned for this event, maybe that's something we can talk about with Jeff as to whether or not he can reach out to each of you individually to get a thumbs up. Because we aren't having another public meeting and that may make Paul's life a little bit easier here. So Jeff and I can talk about doing that in the future if it does come to that, because it sounds like it's a possibility right now.
Yeah, this is a possibility and it's something I've been thinking I need to talk to the vendor about, just so I know that what we could do on relatively short notice.
Again, I know this is silly, but don't sign the agreement. Let Melissa and I review it.
No.
And both Melissa's and I review it before it goes back.
No, all I'm looking for is information at this point,
Jim had an idea. Could we today say, put something together that has a lot of ifs in it? If this is needed, if it doesn't cost any more than whatever amount of money, if the agreements that are required by our lawyer are signed, then we, the board, agree to this. Can we do one of those things, or you don't want to go that way?
Well, I think what may be the easiest is just to have Jeff reach out to each of you with a thumbs up if it does get to that point. Because then we're not agreeing to something that may never happen, or we're agreeing to something with a ton of variables in it, and that makes me nervous.
And Stacy, you have the names of the people we've used before, right? Yeah, so she's got a list of people.
Yeah, I know. I have their names too.
Is it thousands of dollars? Is it a couple $100? Like, what do these things cost?
I don't remember what.
$500.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that if we had a space to fill, my guess would be we would probably look for 2 items. And something that well, in our experience, it's useful if a grandparent can get in and get her granddaughter out when she has to. My wife had fun in 2024 trying to pull Madeline out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do an email and then we all respond to Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I know it's a lot of work, and we really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, I just wish that we had a way of knowing beforehand, and perhaps there might have been, but if we'd done sort of extensive research about who we're competing against. But all things considered, I actually think we've done pretty well in pulling together what we need for the day.
Anything the board wants to do before I go to public comments? We good? Okay, I'm gonna go to public comments. At this time, the board welcomes public comments on anything attendees might want to share. Commenters must state your name and whether you're a resident of the township or a non-resident taxpayer in the township. If you do not identify yourself, your comments will not be included in the official minutes. Each resident or non-resident taxpayer will have one opportunity to make a public comment. Comments should be directed to the board, not to individual board members or members of the staff. The board will refrain from addressing your comments as they are being expressed, but instead at its discretion may comment at the end of the public comment section. Our silence should not be viewed as an agreement with what's being said. And now you can public comments on anything. So it's not just on the agenda, but anything else you may want to bring up. So anybody have public comments?
My name is John Auerbach. I'm a 46-year resident of Franklin Township and a board member for 10 years. So I want to compliment the board and the staff for what the job you've done with the road program and maintaining the work ethic to support the vision that was established many, many years ago. So, and where you are right now is you're maintaining the roads at a high level of condition. It's a long way from where we were 14 years ago. When I first got on the board here, the Franklin Township roads were in absolutely atrocious condition. They were terrible. So we initiated a program and we were putting, this is in 2012 dollars, $550,000 a year into the road program. And the concept was to fix the roads at a rate that's faster than they're degrading. So if you think about the roads as a whole entity, they degrade. All the roads degrade from the day you pave it, the next day it's lost something. So the roads degrade at a certain rate. So if you're going to improve the quality, you need to be fixing the roads at a rate that's faster than they're degrading. And you've really done that over 14 years, and you've got to a point now where the maintenance required to maintain them where they are right now, which is an extremely high level, is much less than that. Because if you think back, $550,000 and $212 is a far away from $250,000 right now. So a great job to maintain that work ethic and the vision over those years. So kudos to the board for a great job of doing that. So thank you.
John, you gave us a good start. So you were the person who started it. So we appreciate that.
Hey, John,
You know, there's three things that you can do in this township to fill this room full of people. And that's do a bad job with the roads, raise taxes, or change zoning. All those items will fill this room full of people.
John, with your experience that you've had, Longs has been doing our roads for a little while now, but are there different qualities of road paving that come down and some last longer, some, different mixes and things like that you've seen?
Well, the mixes have changed over the years and they've improved. They're much better than they were when we started. Longs does a really good job. And the fact we can maintain that is really a good thing, because when I first started, some of the contractors we were getting were, they were poor contractors. And we were a small entity and these were big contractors. So they would do our jobs. It's just a small job for them. So you could never get them to come back and fix something. They did a reasonably decent job, but you couldn't get them to fix anything. Once they were done, they were done. You couldn't get them to come back and fix. But Longs has been pretty good. They're a huge improvement over to some of the ones that we dealt with back in 2012 to 15. That was some tough years. So anyway, a great job of doing that and to maintain the work ethic for that long, 14 years to get where you are right now. So I think the other observation is it takes a long time to bring the level of the roads up to where they are right now. But they can go backwards very fast. That's my final thought, so.
Uh, Just for the boards and for the public. So next in September, we'll start talking about the budget for us. And this is when we can, you'll have a copy for us and we'll just go through it line by line. It just will start the process. And public is more than welcome to join us in this discussion. Because it is going to be about MS4, it's going to be about fire companies, it's going to be about the roads, it's going to be about all the things that we're doing and the costs that are associated with it. Okay. Anybody else? Close this meeting. So I want to make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at, what we got, 8:20, what's 6? Okay, 8:20. Second by, all right, Jim, come on, that's my man. All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.